27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What do you got to eat? Here, guys. Ooh. What's this say? I don't know. What's that say? I know, but I'm not gonna tell. I think it says it's good.
Conjecture Hoops contains all the presumptions, assumptions, and off-the-wall postulations a growing kid needs. Conjecture Hoops, a big bowl of bullshit. Saturday morning cartoons.
Now at night time.
Mostly conjecture based on little knowledge.
Please welcome Max Headshrew, Dell, Ari Blackness, and your most gracious host, Ben motherfucking Jackson. Applause. Applause. Applause.
Hey! Oh, applause, applause.
The lineup doesn't always match the intro. That's just something that you as viewers are going to have to deal with. We're a
Oh, okay. Oops. I like the way that the numbers don't really match up until the last 5 seconds, and it really has to catch up to,
Yeah, I like that as well.
Yeah. Something I have noticed.
Has Ben finished having his orgasm yet?
I know. Is that his orgasm face?
Yeah.
Damn. How do you know?
Because I've seen him have an orgasm. And I've probably caused one at some point. Bear with me, viewers. I'm just going to message my friend Ben and tell him that he's stuck in orgasm mode.
Why do sea lions have flat dicks?
Why? Fantastic.
It was a space filler. It's the best thing I've come up with at short notice.
There he is.
Hey!
The internet gods are just fucking with me. Because, you can see that I have good bandwidth. I'm not grainy, maybe for the first time ever because of my new house. And then I just lost internet for 1 second. Just so I wouldn't get caught. The internet gods were like,
well, you were kicked out and you missed a fantastic joke by Rob about sea lions' penises, which you are never going to hear. So,
and
I could just imagine.
I really like Bob.
Hey! I can just imagine the conversation between the internet gods. Let's see this, mere mortal. We shall play with him for our sport.
In it.
Well, that's exactly what it is, because I moved house basically just to have better internet. And so it'd be really frustrating if I had to do that again.
How is everyone this evening? Is everyone all right?
Ka-ching.
Yeah.
Good. Did anybody do their homework? No? Brilliant.
Me, sir. Only halfway, sir.
I did, because I
did it about 20 years ago. Does that count?
I watched them recently. I'm
right.
Aeon Flux.
I watched a little bit.
Wait, what? Wait a minute. Aeon. Oh, I thought you said we got to find out about Aeon Fox.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. What do you know about Aeon Fox?
Yeah, that's okay.
He sounds like an MP.
Yeah, he runs around in tight spandex with.
Yeah, let me just Google who. Just Google who the hell Aeon Fox is.
Ian Fox was born in 1960. Who is Ian Fox?
I have no idea. It's just a name.
Made it up.
Ian is a partner in the restructuring insolvency practice, focusing on all areas of contentious insolvency and asset recovery work.
Right, Rob, shut up. I'm
There's some
ordering you to
excellent-
shut your face. Listen, did anybody catch Aeon Flux when it was first shown in the UK?
No.
Yes.
What years was that?
It would have been the early 90s. Do you remember Liquid Television?
No.
So Liquid
I
Television.
mostly remember Solid Television. But
Hey! Liquid Television was a series on, was it Channel 4? Buddha.
No, it was MTV, Liquid TV.
Yeah, but it was
But
they played Liquid TV on terrestrial in Britain.
Yes, they did, but it was on BBC Two.
Two.
But it
Deaf.
well, no, Deaf Two. Yes,
Deaf 2.
yes, because BBC Two, for those that don't know, in the UK, especially in the 90s, was seen as a sort of old, crusty, dusty, fuddy-duddy channel. So they tried to revamp it not totally revamp it, but they tried to bring in a youth audience. So for an hour every Thursday evening, it stopped being BBC Two and became Deaf Two. What does that mean? Who knows? You know, it's edgy and youthful.
Yeah,
and so they played sort of youth-oriented stuff. And one of the things randomly they played was Aeon Flux, and I guess it was what's known as the pilot episode now. Yeah. So they played these little 2-minute installments, no introduction, no context. So
it did have a very, very short introduction, a really fucking cool introduction, and it was this. How fucking cool is that?
I have a question for Aria Blackness. Would you be more interested in banging a woman with naturally green skin, A, or B, banging a woman that could give you a blowjob with her eyelashes? Don't think too hard.
A lash job.
Would you rather have an eyelash job or genuinely green skin?
Would you rather
a blowjob with your eyelashes would last about 3 weeks, wouldn't it?
Aria, I can't hear you.
That's a good thing.
So B, I guess.
It's more pleasant.
Aria is completely silent.
Yeah, I think Neve must be at home.
As in, I think there's something wrong with your audio, Aria. Can't hear anything.
Yes.
I can see your lips moving, but I can't hear anything.
I thought he was just considering the question very carefully.
Whilst doing this.
I can't remember where I read it, and I don't go in for speciality porn, but I think it was either in a novel.
What about the eggs up the vagina?
Yes, it's 2 weeks in a row you brought up speciality porn.
That was you. I didn't forget.
So,
but I remember this.
Ari didn't want to listen to that shit. He's gone. So like seeing that was I accidentally watched the first episode of Aeon Flux when it was first broadcast in the UK as a kid, and it thoroughly blew my mind. And because of the nature of each episode, is there's no dialogue. It's taken from basically the center of some form of storyline that you don't really understand what's going on and it's very, very short, and it just sort of throws you in there, and you're supposed to try and quickly understand the rules of this world, and then understand the short sort of Twilight Zone-y silent film, usually full of action, episode that's in front of you. And I'd never seen anything like that.
There's no dialogue in the first shorts as well, so there's no exposition. It's very little context.
Right, I was convinced after watching the pilot as a kid that this was like episode 5 in a long-standing series, and I'd missed all the previous episodes, right? And I remember like really struggling to find them, obviously, because they didn't even fucking exist, which is part of the genius of the original shows, is that it made you feel that way. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Wow.
Yes, we can hear you now, dude.
Green skin. That's the answer. Green skin.
Just said green eyelashes.
I've forgotten what the question was.
Although the dexterous lashes, that's tempting, but green skin.
Fair dude. So yeah, and it's a premise. It's a almost pretentious premise that I love, and the thing about the creator and the main animator of Aeon Flux,
Peter Chung.
Peter Chung. I think he is a genuine artist or auteur, whatever you want to call him. I think he's a relic of the old age of animation, and I think that shows in his work. And I think it doesn't show more than in the third series, which is my least favourite, but the most pretentious.
What other animation did he do? Sorry.
So he would have done work on stuff like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Transformers as we were kids, but he's more known for Rugrats, and then straight after Rugrats he went and did Aeon Flux, and then after Aeon Flux he did a few others, but I think he did
a cartoon about Alexander the Great.
Was it called something Rain? No,
it's called. Well, I think Alexander's in the name, but that cartoon is very little known.
Okay.
And it's very, very good.
He did an Animatrix episode as well, which is the trippiest episode.
Is it the one where they're running over the rooftops in Japan?
It's the one where they bring in one of the machines, and they hook the machine up to the Matrix. And then, but the matrix that the machine goes into is like the human equivalent of the matrix. So it's like a biological matrix. It's super trippy. And basically, they use it to try and persuade the robot to come onto their side.
Right.
Pardon me. The show is called Reign of the Conqueror.
Reign of the Conqueror. That's it. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
It's very good show. I recommend.
So the overall, the sort of overall elongated, spindly, long-legged character designs of Aeon Flux were a direct sort of.
They were a reaction from working on Rugrats,
right?
Because animating little dumpy, with short-limbed. Characters.
So is it like
the little dexterity to them? He wanted to do the create.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's like the antithesis of the Rugrats like body types.
Yeah, because he found it very restrictive to animate those characters, so he went the complete opposite route and created an animated series where everyone's got impossibly long limbs and a very dexterous and. It gave way more scope for action scenes, and it just looks better in animation.
Right.
So is it just this time around? I watched the versions with commentary because Max shared them with us, and that was really eye-opening because I had assumed that the Peter Chung's reason for these character designs was like a sex thing because like. I relate them to like I don't know if you guys have seen like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but like the attitude behind that is like because there's like these weird poses and like all the characters in JoJo are like revealing a lot of their body parts and stuff, and it's like an attempt to stay masculine but to be sexy. I like creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure explained like he's annoyed that like. Women flaunt their bodies, which we talked about with Ghost in the Shell, but like men aren't really supposed to do that and it's considered feminine if you do. And he's like, well, fuck that. So I always thought that Peter Chung was like on the same lines, especially because of the the Reign the Conqueror is very, very macho, more than Aeon Flux. But now I realize that that's not necessarily the case.
Well, I think both things can be true at the same time. Like Aeon as a character is overtly sexual, right?
Right.
Like, she's massively, certainly in the third series, where she's constantly using it to sort of get around certain issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think that. I think both things are true at the same time. I just think, one's descriptive and one's prescriptive of what the designs.
Yeah,
he was influenced by the work of the artist Egon Schiele as well. I know I'm not good at this. I could share my screen.
You can try.
I can try.
Coin tabs, Buddha.
Can you see that?
No.
No, it never
Hang on. There we go.
There we go.
So yeah.
I can see
this
that.
Guy.
Yeah.
What is that? German Impressionism?
I know. I don't know anything about Egon Schiele. I'm guessing with a name like Egon.
Okay.
Austrian.
Okay, so Sheila, that's his name. Not Shell, but Sheila.
Sheila.
As you had it before, it mentioned something about Gustav Klimt, and everybody knows Gustav Klimt for the kiss.
Yeah.
Where she's got a head like that, and that was in that list of images. Yeah, that's the one.
Incidentally, Gustav being a big influence on Simon Bisley.
Oh, really?
Oh, right. Okay, I could see that.
Yeah, look the way that the kiss is sort of flattened out, like Bisley. A lot of his stuff that way.
Yeah. So it's interesting because, like, if you think of you guys like the way you paint, you would say that like Gustav Klimt is your grandfather.
Right. I love Gustav Klimt.
Well, actually, Egon Schiele's grandfather was Egon the Conqueror, who was more interested in dragons and warfare than art. But
are you sure it's not Egon Toad?
And his great grandson was Egon Spengler, who featured as a ghost in the last.
Yes, they all have different surnames. Same forenames.
Not to be confused with Egon Chips.
Yeah.
Is it just me?
Sorry,
Is it just me? Oh, I mean, yeah, she's wearing very little, and she's got these long legs. Sexual, but she's also got this kind of like figure that's a little bit, I don't know, I'm not going to say mannish, but like muscular, and it's not, if you're thinking like a sexual babe in like a heroic she's bikini outfit, you wouldn't think that.
There's something androgynous about it, right?
Yeah, she's very bony.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was making the
sinewy.
That's why I was that's why I mentioned the JoJo characters, because they're very ambiguous. Well, I mean, they're all heterosexual ostensibly, but it's a weird mix between like of reference in your mind when you see it, and you're like, this looks feminine or this looks masculine, and like. Back in the 90s, that was cool and edgy, like David Bowie. It was like, now it's so mainstream and it's too much and it's like forced on you. So now I find it really repulsive. But at the time, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Because like, I don't think Aeon Flux is hot. Like when I look at it's not enticing. You know what I mean? It's not like etchy anime or something that I actually find arousing. It's not. If anything, it's horrifying.
Call my standards low.
Your standards are low.
Call me easy.
You're easy.
But I would totally shag Aeon Flux.
Yeah, I would totally shag Aeon Flux too. But I mean, like, it doesn't turn me on to watch the cartoon, even though
not even the intro sequence.
with the sexy eyelashes. See, that kind of proves my point because it's like obviously
It'd just be a ball bag that hits her in the eye.
Yeah, and then the eyelashes would.
Yeah.
Just shut up.
Swallow me up. See me doing that.
Because there's obviously something erotic about it, but it's not enticing.
Usually, when you think of erotic female figures, you think of more curves. If you share my screen,
that's
I've got a whole load on Google image search.
And female curve.
Yeah, I mean, there are curves there, but there's a lot of straighter lines as well. Oh my God, what's that? But there's a lot of straighter lines there, and she's very straight.
Yeah, and I think that's to accentuate like Chung's he's super into his animation, and I think that's to accentuate that part of the work. Like
and that's what he was explaining in the commentary. Was like people think that I had Aeon Flux be naked just because I'm trying to appease to like horny dudes or whatever. But like the reality is, it's because it makes it easier to draw weird poses. And like she's always that one. She's always crouched and stuff, a la Spider-Man. But like it's more fun than Spider-Man because like there's something about just a skin tight costume for a superhero that I don't know. It's boring because it's like naked but not naked. So if you're gonna be naked. So she's actually naked, and I just think that that's more compelling as a character design. And again, not even because it's sexy, just because of the like Max said, the animation of having her do the things that she does. Because there's fighting and there's sex and there's all kinds of things in this cartoon that happen in every cartoon, but it's just different here. It's
even the scenes of like when they're the sex scenes or whatever, you get as close to the sex scene as possible. They're sort of grotesque, like
exactly.
The scene where they're both leaning out of trains and they're kissing each other, and he's like holding her lips open and going and like licking her teeth.
Right.
See, like,
and there's actually a close up of the inside of the mouth with the tongue.
Sort of goes in, flicks open a little hatch in her tooth and
a secret compartment.
Yeah. I mean, it's there to further the story, but it's weird.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Like, Peter Chung is a perfect example to me of especially with the way Aeon Flux went. It's a perfect example of an artist who's a real artist, because and I think he maybe had issues with that working in a more commercial sphere. Watching what happens to a real artist's work when the boundaries are taken off over a period of time, and I think unusually, I think he had more boundaries in his earlier work than he did in the later series of Aeon Flux, and you can sort of tell because it becomes more and more and more pretentious until we get to series 3, where even the commentary to some of the episodes on series 3, they don't even know what's happening themselves. Chung says, people ask me what happens here, and I don't know. I don't know why we did it. We just did it.
So I was really confused. Speaking of like what the fuck is going on, like when I first saw this as a kid, I was convinced that there had to be some deep, esoteric, symbolic meaning to everything. I no longer believe that about this show. I don't think there's any metaphor or specific symbolism that's meant to be communicated here.
What's the symbolism there?
No, I don't think there is.
I'm talking about this specific image.
Oh, it's a GIF.
It's a GIF. It's a GIF. It's just taken a little while. Yeah, it's just taken a little while to start.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
I feel like Chung just produced what was in his head without explanation, right? And there probably is some deeper thing in
I don't think there is
in Chung's head, but I just don't think it's planned. Because there's always something you do feel like when you produce stuff, when you produce any form of art as an artist, even if you're not thinking about it, there's always a subconscious meaning there, because there's a reason that you decided to put those images down on
okay. Well, what I was getting at is, I think there's like a dialectic tension between the two protagonists of Aeon and Trevor, like representing like opposite like energies, you know. Aeon being like liberty and self-sufficiency, whereas like Trevor is sort of like the embodiment of like a will to power. He, you know, wants to rule and like is bureaucratic. So I think that's all there, and I think that's all deliberate. But I don't think there's any real reference in real life that he's like commenting on. That's what I meant.
Right.
He tends to throw the rule book out of the window when it comes to narrative. I think that's what leads to its sort of esoteric quality. Because I think in some episodes, Aeon and Trevor are sworn enemies, and in others they're lovers. And it just chops and changes at the whim of the author, it seems, you know. And this is also the reason why he can kill off Aeon in 6 different stories and just have a resurrected, you know, the magic reset button. Usually, like, you can do that in comedy, but it's less prevalent in a straight science fiction story.
Right.
Interesting. With regards to killing her off, he says the reason he did that was because he didn't actually want to do a half-hour series. So he thought if he killed the character off, they won't make it. But you kind of shoot yourself in the foot if you kill her off 6 times. Because then you're just saying, well, she can be resurrected 6 times. So there's absolutely nothing stopping us doing a half-hour series.
Well, you know, it works for Wile E. Coyote.
I think that the effect.
Well, exactly. It works in a comedy medium, but you don't see it so much in serious science fiction.
No, that's an interesting point, Buddha. But I think that there's something in common between Wile E. Coyote and Aeon Flux, which allows them both to do that, which is not comedy. I think it's well, I would call it surrealism in the case of Aeon Flux, but it's basically just a further removal from reality. You know, like so much so that these stories don't even take place in the same world. Because
and I want to clear something up about what I said earlier about it being pretentious. Like it is, but I don't necessarily have an issue with. I think artists should be striving to get their pretentious ideas out, and then the rest of the world. And the format you project it in is the thing that's trying to cut it down, and then hopefully you meet somewhere in the middle. If the world was run by artists, you know, everything would be utterly pretentious all the time, and I don't necessarily have an issue with that because I like esoteric, weird, subversive shit. I think it makes you think more. But it's not to the palate of everyone, right?
The thing that drew me in watching Aeon Flux when I was 14 was her being killed off at the end, because it was so unexpected and you know, not even, you know, her death isn't necessarily what you'd expect. You know, she doesn't go down in a hail of bullets in that first episode. It was a really intriguing death. Yeah, she just gets a nail in the boot, and then there's about a minute of tension being dragged because we, the audience, see the nail, but she doesn't know the nail's there. And when is she going to tread on this nail? And about a minute later, she treads on it when she's, you know, up the ladder and falls to her death. And explodes. And it's like, whoa, that is so unexpected. But that was the thing that made me remember this series for years afterwards. You know, for years I was going, what was that series about the chick with the nail in the boot? You know.
Well, I'll tell you why it's so compelling to me is because, like, you consume all of this media of superheroes or whatever superhero adjacent derivative you want to call it. This is obviously a superhero as far as I'm concerned. And they're always defying death in 1,000 different ways and always surviving. And there's just something cheap about that. And so I think it has a lot more weight.
So when you get a hero who dies just through their own clumsiness, it stands out, you know.
Quite charming, in fact, because because like Aeon's cool because on one level she seems like the most capable and the smartest in some ways, and at some times, and then other times not necessarily. And it kind of I kind of that resonates with me in a deep way, because myself being smarter than most people that I know, that doesn't always mean that I win or get what I want, So, sometimes you do just step on a nail and eat shit.
Yeah.
That's one way to put it.
Hands of mice and men.
Yeah.
I just want to say at this point that this I've stopped at this picture for a reason. Boys and girls, this is why you always want your saddle heightened by a professional. Okay.
Are you the saddle? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't watch the later series in prep for this, but this is the one episode that it stands out in the memory. Is it the final one?
Yeah.
And am I right in saying that you're supposed to think that these are aliens throughout the episode until the end, when it turns out that they are the next evolution in humanity who have traveled back in time?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yes.
Which
is an idea that I ripped off for a comic short myself years later.
You mean these penny farthing guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think that's what you're supposed to think, but nothing in Aeon Flux Series 3 is ever explained to anyone in any clarity whatsoever. So
that was one of the clearer explanations of the third series.
I used to find
probably why I remember it.
I used to find it very frustrating that I never knew what Aeon Flux was about, and I used to scour the internet for anyone that could explain it to me, because it had to be about something. It had to mean something. But it doesn't. It isn't. And once I've understood that, I get it more now. And like the same way that you can look at a painting and it can be sort of abstract and you not necessarily know what it's about. That's just applied to Aeon Flux, but in the medium of an animated short.
Right, exactly. That's a great way of putting it, Ben. And it's for that reason that I've grown to love that show so much. And like the first time I watched the third series, I really didn't like it because in my head I'd only ever experienced the first two, which was just mainly just out and out action, right? So to get like what they did for the third series, which is completely different, like totally different. But like it knocked me for six a little bit. But to have that reaction, like when you watch something like that, and then your reaction has got enough energy to sort of perpetuate you thinking about it and looking for signs of stuff of it years and years down the road, has to be a success, right? It's just an unexpected reaction where like you say, like we're inundated with the same stuff, so you expect the same feeling of fulfillment from every sort of piece of media that you watch. And this is something different, and it's always been something different. Right. And it's only after reflection that I learned to sort of appreciate it. This has really like affected me, just not in the way, like way more than most things, but just not in the way that I expected it to originally.
Yeah,
because I'm not used to this
it's
sort
not
of
really
it defied expectation from the get-go.
You know?
Yeah.
But that provokes greater discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you my favorite episode of Aeon Flux. Well, here, I'll tell you two clips from it and see if you can tell me why it's my favorite, or what do you think? Do you guys remember that episode?
Yeah,
I watched it last night, but I watched it with
death.
It used to bug the fuck out of me, but now I really, really like it. Like, I think I finally figured it out, and it's ironic.
It's a loop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched it last night with the commentary, and basically they use, I think it's the same 6 backgrounds again and again. They explained it like it was a piece of
She's
music.
going down an elevator.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
every time it's the same, it's the same exact same scenarios, but a different floor. That's really clever.
I think my favorite episode is the one where everybody's at war, and every time you sort of get used to the characters that they die, and it moves on to the next character, then that character dies, and it moves on to the next character, and that
that was
dies.
cool too.
That's
so like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but it's happening really, really quick. There's a fantastic little shot in there where someone runs off to have a gunfight, and all you do is you don't see anything, but you hear the shower of bullets, and then someone's tooth flies onto frame and lands inside a bottle, and just rattles around the bottle.
And of all the killing, this is probably the best part. I like
just like a staircase.
Yeah,
that's the episode.
Yeah, I know.
And he gets taken. The way he dies is he's like, you see the samurai sort of shots where he's like swiping someone, next shot swiping someone, next shot swiping someone, and then he gets shot, right? But the angles carry on. So there's like 4 angles after that carry on, but they're all blank.
Where he would have been. Yeah.
Like really clever.
Yeah.
Bristolian Dave says, I stood on a nail on my uncle's allotment when I was like 10. Went straight through my foot. Yeah. So you know.
Yeah. When I was at art school, I had a nail in my foot. Had to go to the hospital to make sure I had a tetanus jab. Yeah. Went straight through my shoe into my foot. Rusty old nail.
Ooh.
Nice, Rob.
Yeah.
What are those
cool story, bro.
What are those spiky things called in the sea? Urchins. Urchin.
No, okay. Oh, did it come off?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Ooh, ah.
It came off.
I've got you all beat. I soccer kicked a hedgehog.
You bastard! Why would you do that?
Because I didn't know it was a hedgehog, or actually it was a porcupine, which are even worse.
Damn, yeah.
What did you think it was?
Size difference there.
Because when you're at your friend's farm in the middle of fucking nowhere and it's nighttime and you're walking, and if an animal rushes by your foot, it's a high chance that it's a rat or a raccoon or a skunk or a badger. Like, there's a lot of animals that you don't want around, dude. And I could feel it. It seemed like a mammal because of the way it moved. And there's not many, definitely wasn't a bird. You know what I mean? So my mind is like, this is probably some kind of vermin. We got to get rid of it.
It's probably kickable.
It's probably kickable, right? And it happened to be the only mammal that isn't kickable, which is a porcupine.
Dude. Did you get spines in your foot?
Yeah, I got spines in my foot, so I couldn't take my shoe off to get them out because they were through my shoe and through my foot. It was bad.
Wow. Okay, that is.
It's like that game with the monkeys where you pull the sticks out and the monkeys fall. In Ben.
Are you equating Ben to a monkey, Aria?
Well, I've got a thing.
Just his foot.
Got a thing between my thumb toe and my whatever that finger is on your toe, like between those two.
The big toe and the first.
Between that big toe and the second toe, I've still got like a thing there where I have to like massage it and crack the knuckle all the time because it bothers me because that was where the deepest one hit.
Kobe Ked got a rusty nail in his hand from his dad's greenhouse. His parents didn't do nothing. He's lucky to be here. You are lucky to be here, Kev.
Well,
now he's got
COVID,
COVID.
Kev, we could call you tetanus, Kev. And I guess you need both vaccines just as much.
All right.
You know what I mean?
I'm going to start comparing scars now.
Yeah. Well, here we go. Here we go. So, okay, there's no way I'm going to beat Ben, but on a bus in Taipei, like buffeting around, this big fat guy standing in front of me steps backwards, bang, right on my foot. Hurt like fuck. Anyway, got home, noticed it was bleeding, kind of like washed it out, but 2 days later it was still bleeding. I was like, oh fuck. So I started looking really closely at it, noticed that I could pull a little bit of flesh from underneath my nail. So I had to go to the hospital to kind of get it all. Yeah, cool story, bro. So had to go to the hospital with my then girlfriend, who was a very sweet but very big French Canadian. And right, so here's the thing, right? It's in my big toe. No idea which foot it is. The doctor, he gives me a jab in the side. And he's like, do you feel this? And I'm like, yeah. So he gives me a jab in the other side. Do you feel that? I'm like, yeah. And then the girlfriend, the reason I mentioned the girlfriend is she had to hold me down while he gave me the jab under the nail.
I think you lost everyone at very, very big French Canadian.
She was, I'm 5'8", and she was nearing, I would say she's 5'10". Yeah. What are you like? What's going on with you, Max?
I just think it's funny that you had a massive girlfriend.
Hey, I don't, I do not, no prejudice on size.
No.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, I think I might be one of them fat phobics. Sorry to say.
Oh, I mean, she wasn't fat; she was just tall.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's different.
She could still hold me
any
down.
of us were picturing.
She could still hold me down, mind you. I love it. Yes. And I remember the first time we went to a nightclub in Taipei, right? And this is so funny. This is so funny. She says to me, because she had this really strong French accent, she's like, why are they dancing like this? I'm like,
did she want to dance?
Well, no, because like we're in Taipei, right? And I said, right. they're Chinese. And then a couple of days later, she says to me, that's the first time she actually kind of like really realized that we were in a foreign country.
Because they weren't dancing the right way.
Not as she, as a Canadian, would expect them to,
Right, not as she, as a Canadian, would expect. That's awesome.
But she was totally honest about it. She's like, why are they dancing like this?
No, I got it. We got the joke. That makes sense. And so the thing that I like a lot about
porcupines,
well, like the needle going through the foot thing, it's like, it's wild, but like there's a lot of like penetration fucking imagery that isn't overtly sexual, right? But like back in that same episode where she's going down the elevator every time until she gets to the right floor, what is in the locker that she's trying to get, that she has the key to? Do you guys remember what it was?
It was a key, wasn't it? It's a kind of key. But she didn't get the key, did she? Somebody else got the key.
The girl killed her, right?
Yeah, she got to the wrong locker. Or she got the wrong key to the right locker. Yeah.
Yeah, well, she kills Aeon, but then the other girl does open the locker.
Yeah.
And what's inside?
It's kind of a plunger kind of thing.
This big old 3-pronged ribbed dick-looking plunger thing.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Isn't it the most phallic thing you've ever seen on TV in a cartoon?
What the fuck?
Looked like his head, yeah.
It was, though. She pulls out basically a giant dildo, and then because she throws it away, then she's in trouble later and she doesn't have the solution, huh? Think about it.
Right.
Can I interject? Can I?
It's a giant red pill. Peter Chung said I could interpret it any way I want, so I'm not off base.
Can I take us on a brief tangent? Because our queen died like 2 weeks ago, and there was a whole queue of like 11 hours to see Her Majesty lying in state. And I heard this last night that one person they had to search everybody's bags, and it was reported that one lady had a pleasantry.
That's a very English way to put it.
And basically, it was a vibrator.
Right.
So they kind of confiscated it, took the batteries out, and the policeman said, "Here's your dildo." Why would you take that? Why would you take that to see the Queen?
Because the line was 13 hours long. That's why.
It's a long line, dude. You need a dildo.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
The longer the line, the bigger the dildo.
Hang on a sec. Give me a one syllable word that rhymes with cat that can be used for dildo.
Why?
Oh, Jack, like a Jack your body kind of thing. Pussy Jack, where have you been? I've been to London to see the Queen.
What the fuck?
Back to the conversation. Nailed it.
Rob, all those long-winded anecdotes were just so you could make that pun and say nailed it.
It just came to me.
Did anybody watch the film in preparation for this?
I started watching it and it lost me.
I watched about half of it last night and fell asleep.
Yeah, it's not very good.
How many times did she die in the film?
She doesn't die in the she doesn't die in the third
I don't know.
series. In the third series she doesn't die at all. But
It's one of those
the third
instances.
series is almost a separate piece of that's why I said like the first two series are pretty quick to watch, but just have a scan over the third one because it's a completely different animal.
Well, the third one feels to me like an attempt to flesh out the world that Peter Jung conceived for the first and the second seasons. Because like, even though obviously like there's no development, there's no like the reason that she dies in every episode is really so that you can't really string a line between them. Like you can't be like, oh, this one happened before that one, and then this one's connected that way. There, that kind of kills that, chronology. And
they could
decided to go a complete 180 for the third season and be like, no, you know what? Let's actually determine what is this place and what is Monica and what is Breen and why are they at war? Yeah. And I liked it at the time because when I first saw this, my attitude was like, okay, they finally made the story. Season 2 is bullshit. But now I kind of feel like, well, it's not a story. I shouldn't read it like a story. That's not what it's even trying to be. And I prefer season 2 now because you know what? Someone else could write the fucking war between Monica and Breen or whatever the fuck. I've already seen that movie. It's Newsies, all right? It's it's Romeo and Juliet, all right? Come on. But this other thing, this completely different form of art that they did in season 2, guess what? I appreciate it because it's something different from everything else,
Right.
It's a different kind of art.
It reminded me a lot of, do you remember that comic that Frankie Boyle wrote?
Yeah, Rex Royd. Yeah,
Rex Royd. Yes, and that was something that bamboozled me a little bit at first reading it. I thought, what am I not getting? But when I realized that the idea with that was he was trying to create in a weekly comic strip the experience of reading comics as a child, which was you wouldn't necessarily read an entire run. You get, issue 2 of this run and issue 4 of this run. So
Right.
he'd be each issue would be from a different, bigger story.
Yeah, as if you'd just been plunged into the middle of it and you'd missed.
Yeah.
The problem with that, like I gravitated to that a comic strip for the same reason. But the problem was, like, it bamboozled me at first as well, because that was my experience so much as a kid when reading comics first off. I just assumed I'd done it again. So I was like, oh, where are the? I was back there again. I was like, where? I was like 30 and thinking, like, I've missed 5 episodes, even though I've got every issue of Clint.
It's one of those things. It was a good concept, but it only worked really when you got the concept. But anyway, that's a tangent. But that kind of reminded me a little of the experience of watching Aeon Flux.
Yeah, I
each episode's it feels part of a grander story.
Yeah,
we only get this little locked off section of that story.
Right, I love that. I like. I want to do stuff like that.
I don't see it that way though. I don't think that's what it is. Because I think each episode should be seen as like
its own reality, really.
Like less real, exactly. It's like a poem or something. It has a theme and like themes within the theme that you're supposed to think about and examine, but not really like think about what else is going on in that world. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just like, here's a flower, take a look at it, smell it, think about it. What does it provoke inside of you? What does it remind you of? Right. And that probably sounds a little bit hoity-toity or like I'm not making any sense, but
pretentious, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe.
Pretentious. I like
pretentious in a good way.
Yeah,
in a good way. But like, let's think about it. Like, my 2 favorite episodes are Tide, which is the one I keep going back to with the elevator going down, and War, which is the one Max mentioned where they're fighting each other. And like, you could read War as like just a bunch of cool animation fight choreography, and it is that. Or you could start to notice that, like, okay, first, like, they like protagonize these characters, right? Like, you're definitely seeing from their point of view. Like, and then you think about, like, every time you watch Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, you're in that guy's point of view, and he's the good guy, and so he's handsome, and he has more like attributes that separate him. Whereas all the guys he's beating up and killing, they all look the same, right? But then they flip sides. So then you have, all the mannequins look the same, and here's the cool guy with the blonde haircut beating them up. And then he gets killed, and now it's the cool mannequin guy with the long ponytail and the samurai sword. He's the good guy, right?
Right.
And then you like think about this, and then you like question, like, well, do I know who the good guys are in real life? You know what I mean? And like, so it's not about what's going on in that world; it's about what's going on in my world.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't be surprised to find out that Peter Chung is a stoner, because he's the way he looks like a stoner, but his approach to storytelling is very much a stoner's approach. It's kind of it doesn't have to be a straight A to B narrative. We can come at this from any angle, from any reality. We can do anything in storytelling.
It's not what I was saying at the beginning. You watch the interviews with him. He's an artist. He's a proper artist, and he really has issues like working in the industry, like right down to like working in the environment. He likes to have his ideas, take them home to his office and work alone, and then he's very selective about the things that he shows. He said, "Hey, Mark, how you doing?"
Hail.
And he's Mark. That's where we are in life now.
Cheers, you
Hail, Comic Mark.
Comic Mark, let me know if you want to come on, by the way.
And that's
you can arrange that.
He said like he sort of rails against the idea of having an industry standard, like in animation and in specifically like American comics. He said like trying to get one of the artists that he's ever assigned to work for him, or the animators, to like put a part of themselves into their work he said it's like pulling fucking teeth. They just want, all they want is like the instructions from to go from A to B, and you know, that's all they'll do. And he finds that like incredibly frustrating. And I get it, because I consider myself like an artist. Like to what degree is other people's decision, but like I understand those frustrations. Like I've worked in the industry and different artistic careers and endeavors, and all of them I've hit brick walls with creativity, you know, and you sort of push through education as an artist to sort of express those things. And then when you actually hit your sort of career grind, you're told that none of those fucking things are ever, you know, none of them can happen. So I think that's why I like him, you know, and I think that's why I've been, the older I get, the more I sort of get drawn to these peculiar forms of art and narrative.
Arya,
Aeon,
you're an artist.
I am. That is true.
So what do you think about all of this? Does that like do you relate to that?
Yeah. Right. I've done a little bit of animation, and Aeon Flux strikes me as the animator's animation. You know, like everything from the design of the main character and actually the other characters as well, how spindly they are.
Yeah.
Everything lends itself to doing freaky things with the animation.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's me, Tommy Mark, your friendly neighbourhood communist.
Hello, Mr. Commie.
Mark, I've been meaning to ask you this for a while. I don't remember how long ago it was, but the first time that you and I streamed together, I had this whole spoof where I was dressed like a communist myself to try to like outmark the communist you. But it didn't work because nobody noticed, because there were like 1,000 people on the stream. So we were all and so I didn't know if I should just commit to the bit and then eventually it would be funny, but I don't think it ever was. I think it totally backfired. And I wanted to ask you if you even noticed.
I didn't even notice, no.
Did you have like a big bear hat?
I was wearing a Che Guevara t-shirt. Okay. I had like a red bandana on. I had like a wristband with a hammer and sickle, I think. Or you couldn't have fucking mistaken me for anything else. If you got it,
and he was dying of starvation.
Yeah, I didn't eat for a week.
the red bandana, that could have been Axl Rose.
Yeah, I guess so. And then I was like, no one's going to get the joke. And then this is the first time any of these people see me. They're just going to think I dress weird and I like Che Guevara.
No.
Just wanted to confirm that.
Ben, we've met Mark in real life now. There is no way you're gonna out communist this guy. He commits to the
bit. I just disappeared then because I do have a Chairman Mao cap somewhere. I was trying desperately. I thought it was in this cupboard here.
I probably wouldn't even have noticed, would I? Like past experience.
So anyway, welcome to the show. Have you ever seen this cartoon called Aeon Flux?
No, I haven't even watched it. I just came here to throw in tangents, like try and steer you off course.
That's all right.
That's my job, buddy.
You're going to have a job, because I think that's what we do during most of the show.
Yeah, I do have a question for you, Max. So on your TV behind you, is that something you've made with an effect, or is it just a really old TV and it's actually doing that?
That's a really old TV. That's actually, in fact, it's not. So, right, the TV's in good condition, and I made the animation with the effect on it. But what I found is the effect is like altered massively because it flickers, because when the camera picks it up, it makes it flicker. But like in reality, it's not flickering that much.
Yeah.
So the answer's yes.
Yes, to both.
Yeah.
It's just amplified. It is what you're saying. Isn't it?
Max always does both. You ask him if he uses digital art or if it's traditional. He'll say yes. Ask him if he paints or if it's digital. He'll say yes. Ask him if it's pencils or if it's pens. He'll say yes. He just does everything. I don't understand how.
Ask him if he's a
He
top
just
or a
pulls
bottom.
it out of the computer, plays with it, and then puts it back.
Ask him if he goes for green skin or fluttering eyelashes on
He'll
his
say
knob.
both.
Right.
Hang on, I didn't know that was an option.
I demand everything from life. I'm not a top or a bottom. I'm a middle.
I'm a middle.
The sandwich kind of man.
Hang on, let me find that image of the crossbar being.
Oh yeah, those guys are pretty cool. I think that's like I always understood those guys, the crossbar guys, that they were supposed to be aliens.
I love that I started that.
That they're like the next evolution of humans. I think it makes sense for them to be because you already have these exaggerated figures that are, as Arya was saying, they're easy to animate because they have their long limbs and like their versatility. And then like these aliens, they're just like conceptually, artistically, the next evolution of that.
Can you explain to me though, what is the evolutionary advantage of not being able to ride a bicycle?
Because you can just run like a bike. You can just be your own bike, dude.
Oh, Rob.
There are no bicycles in the future.
Yeah, just
maybe they just have really tall seats.
Maybe the alien was that woman that was waiting in line to see the Queen's funeral.
Which one?
Pussy Jack, where have you been?
One,
The one who had a vibrator in a purse.
Well, yeah, this one clearly had a rucksack.
Well, obviously she didn't take it with her to see the Queen. It seemed to just be something that she always has.
Possibly, yeah.
Unless she has a very sort of specific fetish about dead monarchs and dildos.
Anything's possible.
And
I mean, that would be her one opportunity to act on it. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's true, but when she saw the Queen had died, she fucking leaped out of a chair.
Grief makes you do weird things.
Well, that kind of makes sense because some people have like rich people fetishes. Like if you grew up poor, but now you're not, but you like obsessed with like never being poor. I've seen people like this, like anything that they think associate with like luxury or like exclusivity, it like arouses them more. Right?
Yeah, but then you've got to add the dead part. And then the funeral part. And then waiting in line for 13 hours.
Well, I wonder if the funeral
they're all very small cogs in a massive sexual fetish.
I mean, wasn't that a movie or something, Funeral Crashers, where the dudes go to funerals to pick up chicks?
No, the movie was Wedding Crashers, and then like the act 3 is that they work out that funeral crashing is a thing, like, and then they're dealing with the moral implications of that.
Yeah, they go and see their mentor, who's Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
He's moved on from wedding crashing to funeral crashing.
That's it.
Why, Roger?
That's the next evolution of the wedding crash.
We were talking about different ways of narrating a story, and I found out recently that the term network narrative is the kind of story where you see, for example, different protagonists at different stages, and you don't know how they fit together. And one movie is Crash. Yeah, yes. LA Crash. But I had to, because I wanted to show
which crash. There's two crashes.
There are two crashes, and the other crash,
not the one where they shag over crashes.
Exactly. And that's what I had to explain to my students, because we wanted to watch LA Crash together, but I wanted to say to them, look, there's another crash where people have sex in like car crashes.
Right.
Yeah. And I had to
that's
explain to
my
my
crash.
students.
That's one of my favorite.
Did you put your arm around all your students and go, "Oh, let's watch that one instead"?
I did not.
He loaded the tape into the VCR machine.
That's why he teaches in Germany now.
Yeah. Why is this video cassette sticky? No.
And you went, watch this, students. I have a very particular fetish.
Mind you, we
I
watched
got the wrong crash again.
I guess we'll just have to watch the whole thing again. Nothing calm.
Mind you, we did watch LA Crash together, but we started getting into it, and I'd forgotten how many times they swear and there was a bit of nipple action there, and I was like, oh shit, I'd forgotten about this.
How old were your students?
Oh, those 13-year-olds will never be the same. No, I'm joking. They're adults. I
thought you were saying you're a teacher at play school or something.
Can you imagine that, like showing LA Crash in kindergarten? So this is all about racism, right?
Yeah. Let's watch Crash. It's a bit like a sequel to Playbus.
But I love the network narrative.
Yeah.
So what were you gonna say, Rob, about different narration styles?
Yeah, what was your original point?
No, that was it. That Crash was about network narrative, and actually you could see that Aeon Flux is also kind of like a network narrative, that you don't know where people are starting, where people are finishing. You know, it's like, how does it all fit together?
Narrative. What is the term?
Network, like computer network. You know, like
network.
Yeah, you know, the stuff that gives you problems once in a while.
Yeah,
network
especially the war episode. That's a perfect example of it.
Yeah,
it's a good technique where you can break up like an average story and make it unintelligible until one moment where the reader goes, "Oh, it makes sense now." Like, and it feels like some great revelation when.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask a question.
It's going to happen at the end of the show, I hope.
What did we just watch?
Is Sin City one of them, what you call it, network narratives? Because it's like all the different stories, like
they don't,
and it's a bar, right? They're all at the same bar at one moment, and then they go their separate ways.
Yeah, but when you come into they're always at the. You sort of always know where they are within the story, though, right?
Right.
They also don't impact each other like a whole lot. They're just generally in the same universe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would be like a network narrative in reverse, because it sounds like, because I watched it a long time ago and I can't remember how it worked out, but like if they started off in a bar together and then they spread out and did their own thing, then
I think it's more. I think it's more evident in the books, Rob. If you've read Sin City.
Okay. All right. Have you guys done that as a show yet?
No.
Yeah.
No. We should though.
We've been working on it though. I got sidetracked, but I have a really good idea.
Okay.
Sin City would be good.
You guys are really gonna get a kick out of it. Like I've got parts for all of you. I don't have a part for you, Kami Mark, but you know, maybe next time.
I've got a cat called Marv. After Marv from Sin City.
Oh right.
I just said that for no reason. And it had no fucking relation.
I didn't think so.
I just had a stroke. I've got a cat called Andy.
I've got a cat called Marv, and I've just had a stroke.
Well, I mean, you saw how much we laughed, you know.
The respect you have for me is awesome, isn't it? Yeah, we should do Sin City. 100%.
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of. I'll send you all the. In fact, no, I haven't done it yet. I'll send you all the link to my hard drive, but there's a load of. There's a load of how it's not a sexual connotation.
There's a load of crash on there.
Daddy Rob. There's a load of Hellraiser comics on there, and some of them are really good.
Okay.
Neil Gaiman did a couple of stories in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a look at those.
We should do that for an episode.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys
Just the
remember
Hellraiser
when I
comics.
was like on acid, and I thought that Max said Hell Blazer when he said Hellraiser?
Yeah.
And I went on this huge tangent about fucking Keanu Reeves or something.
Yeah. And then you disappear.
Ron Perlman with his big red makeup on, and
Well, the moral of the story is don't do acid and stream. Okay.
I don't know. I quite enjoyed you doing acid on the street.
Sounds like I wasn't here for much of it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it when you were around. When you literally went on a physical trip, that bothered me.
Did he take his?
I didn't notice time the same way, so you know, I thought I was.
It's okay, Ben.
For like 5 minutes for me.
Did he take his camera somewhere or what?
No, he just got up and fucked off and didn't come back for the whole show.
I did this.
Which one was this? I missed it. Which one was it?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go and watch this one.
What was?
It wasn't Hellraiser, right?
No, we've not done that. I will go balls to the wall and Hellraiser. It's not my
what was the other one? Constantine. It wasn't that episode, was it?
Possibly.
I'm sure I was there for that one.
Right? Yeah, I was there.
I was there. I had no idea Ben was tripping.
No,
well, he's done it again.
No, nor did I know that that's the reason he just disappeared.
By the way, I don't do drugs. This is all a joke for the show.
Yeah, it's in a video game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Talking of video game, that's one thing I was going to say. That Aeon Flux for me, it sounds like it's a gameplay. It's a like it's a playthrough.
Yeah, and it's like you lost.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That every time she dies,
level.
it's like some spotty kids at home going, "Oh fuck."
Yeah,
There
you
is
can
a
imagine
game.
someone throwing away the controller, like, oh,
Right.
fuck.
Has
There's a
anyone played the game?
No.
Yeah. Well, I think it's based on the film.
Yeah. Why would you do that? Why the fuck would you do that?
I know. Yeah, I mean, one based on the series would be such a cooler concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to really play with the narrative of a game, man. You'd have to get Chong on board to have a decent game of Aeon Flux.
Yeah.
Did anyone see the movie?
I saw like
no one's seen it yet.
Buddha watched like 30 minutes and I watched 5 minutes, and we both decided it was dog shit. Like everything about it looks crap. Like
her hair's all wrong.
The hair's all wrong. The outfit's wrong. Like if you're not going to do it the way, like properly, just don't. It needs to be. In my opinion, if you're going to make a film based on something like Aeon Flux, it needs to be like seriously stylized live action, like similar to what they did with Sin City, to make it look like the comic. Like there's other stuff that's got to go down in the aesthetical makeup of it to make it work. And
the director, I think it was her second film. She'd only made like one little indie flick before this, so she didn't really know what she was doing with the Hollywood system. It wasn't really. It was about boxing, her first film, but it wasn't really an action movie, so she didn't really know what she was doing with the action.
You know what?
scenes.
I'm gonna talk about the elephant in the room, Buddha. I feel like a lot of these movies are just like, let's take any fucking intellectual property that hasn't already been exploited for a feature film, and let's just bang one out and make a couple of bucks.
Well,
Clearly, it was
well.
Somebody who heard about Aeon Flux and knew it had this cult following, and they thought, okay, they probably looked at like the first episode and went, all right, it looks like a bit of an action series. Let's make an action science fiction film, without really understanding that there was this deeper level to it. And it's a very surface level adaptation. It has all the iconic moments in there. But you know, it has the fly getting caught in the eyelash, which looks really cool animated. In live action, it looks really weird.
Yeah,
it looks like she's just got a fly flew into her
Yeah,
eye.
it looks like she's just lying on a bed and a fucking big fat turd fly just flew into her face. Like there's no, it doesn't make any sense. Like the cool bit about it,
it doesn't look iconic.
Yeah,
and if you've never seen the series, you go, why is a fly just flown into her eye?
Yeah,
and like the film is sort of replete with moments like that. You know,
like the eye is supposed to still be open and then turn to look at the fly, and then you know what I mean? And it's just, it's just this.
Is that blue tack?
No,
and she dresses like she does in the series, but only when she's indoors as well.
Yeah. It's total misunderstanding of the source material.
I honestly
it's very lame.
I couldn't imagine it worse. It's you know, if you think about it, it's like Buddha said it himself. Like it just kind of follows the beats of like what you would need to put in the movie to make it.
Also, they tried to give it some context. So it starts with an opening narration about how in the year 2011, 99% of the world is killed off by a virus. We all remember that happening, don't we? And then, and so it's just set in this one city, walled off city, with the and everyone in this city is the remainder of humanity. This is 500 years into the future. And it's walled off and it's just trees. The rest of the planet is just trees. Is any of this from the series?
No.
That's pure Hollywood then.
Yeah.
That's a studio note saying where you know this series makes no sense. We've got to make it more palatable for us.
Exactly. So it's the opposite of what we were saying. Like Aeon Flux's strength is that it's the opposite kind of story. So like
they tried to make sense out of the weird narrative, and really what it should have been is closer to like a sci-fi Donnie Darko, where you had loads of questions at the end, you know, like everything was open-ended. And they haven't got the balls to do it because they don't ever trust the audience, you know.
And the guy who made Donnie Darko, you think you've hit the nail on the head. You know, this would have been the ideal project for him,
right?
You know, he would have made Donnie Darko 2001. This was 2005, so. Yeah,
I feel like with media, there's always that struggle to take the sort of weird esoteric and try to like fit it into this box that makes sense for like stupid fucking audiences.
Yeah, because that's what the main audience
wants. Right, and it's a battle that consistently wages on. Like even with Donnie Darko, you've got the original film. It's kind of open ended and it's one of those films that those cult classics that people like to talk about. But then you've got like the sequels, the dog shit, low budget sequels that try and make more sense out of it than is needed. And it's like it's like they're trying to force it through this fucking meat grinder, so into a certain shape to make more money out of it. It just doesn't work. It doesn't ever work. Ever.
If I was going to, I mean, it's a bad film, but if I was going to defend it in any way, it did kind of made me a little nostalgic for 2005 filmmaking, because at one point she's trying to storm a base and she's got a sidekick with her who's a black girl. And I thought to myself, wow, if this was made now, everyone would just, you know, the instant go to criticism would be, oh, so woke. But 17 years ago, nobody thought in those terms. You know, it was they tried to make a cool action movie with a central female protagonist, and they had a black character in it, and you know, nobody would be. It didn't feel like virtue signaling. Whereas if they did exactly the same thing now, it would do.
Right, me and Ben spoke about this a couple of times, and like the whole woke thing and the reaction to it, it's like it's really poisoned the well for enjoying shit, because like people when
you spot it where you wouldn't have spotted it years ago.
Yeah, when you get the third wave feminist shit where they're like, oh, you don't have any female protagonists. and then the opposite side always point to stuff like Aliens and Terminator. Go, look, they're there, and they're right. But if Aliens was to come out now, it would definitely get slapped with the woke thing, like Vasquez. That scene with Vasquez where she's like, has anyone ever mistaken you for a man? She slaps him out. You're just too bad. Everyone would go fucking crazy about
If I may,
but that is just a cool scene.
I have the answer to the question that you are trying to ask. Is a movie woke or not? Like, how to tell? So it doesn't matter, like, if a character is black or a woman or gay or anything. Them being included doesn't necessarily make it woke. Yeah, their characters have to, in the story, call attention to the oppression that their group faces, like, and then that makes it woke. Like, it can be as simple as the person saying, well, as a black superhero, I don't approve of this, now it's woke, because you
so does that
putting
mean
attention on the oppression.
Does that mean that the Batman
means to,
holy shit, I was gonna ask the same question.
I haven't seen The Batman.
Catwoman makes a comment about the privilege of upper class white men.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, fuck these rich white men" or something, right?
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it makes that character woke in
that makes
in
her
that
woke.
moment.
Yeah.
Well, I've got news for
one
you.
character
The Batman, although aesthetically pleasing, is fucking shit. And that's the end of the conversation.
No, it's great.
It's
The inclusion-
it's
Conjecture.
derivative.
Very little knowledge.
I mean, I didn't have fun watching it, right? And that's what matters.
It's boring as fuck. No, I think if you did have fun watching it, then you're an idiot. I'm only joking.
Pop quiz. Okay, we've already talked about how Aeon Flux is kind of like a little bit androgynous, a little bit like,
bringing it back.
manly. But like, okay, so Charlize Theron is not really androgynous, manly.
Oh my god, no!
Who would play a
Charlize
good?
Theron is so perfectly beautiful that she's boring.
Yeah. So
Right,
who would play the correct Aeon Flux?
Russell Brand.
What? No, we're not.
He's got the body type.
We're not talking about Mark again.
Eddie is
what's her face? Kill Bill.
Oh,
yeah.
Thurman. Oh,
yeah.
Like long and sinewy. And...
She's not very.
Yeah, she's got very long arms.
Yeah, but
and legs.
you could make her look androgynous.
Fucking Aeon Flux, dude.
You know, an extra bulge in the pants.
Yeah.
Uma Thurman is the woman who gave me my first in-cinema erection. I remember specifically.
Can we clip that? Can we clip that and put it on Twitter?
You remember the second film?
That's a good bit to clip.
Yeah, that is a good bit, and it's going to be.
Yeah, you know, in the movie The Producers, like it's a musical. The Producers.
Yes.
In that movie, it was.
He's held at sexually.
Yeah,
There's a
You're
whole.
talking about the erection, not Uma Thurman,
The
right?
more you know.
She does a song and dance routine in that movie called "If You've Got It, Flaunt It." Like, and you know, it's kind of hot.
And that worked.
Yeah, that did it for you.
I can't remember my first in cinema erection.
There's just been so many.
Can you remember your last one?
The Care Bears movie.
Yeah, the last one was
Schindler's List.
Oh, fuck! Schindler's List.
It was either that or Taken. I can't tell the difference between the two. Yeah, I've got an interesting bit of pop information about what we were talking about earlier with wokeness and old films and that. I didn't know this till recently, but You know Vasquez in Aliens, right? You know she's blacked up to play a Mexican.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Did not know that, but okay.
Yeah. She's the same. She's in Terminator 2. She plays John Connor's mother, and you can see her.
Oh God, that's her.
Yeah, she's
white.
white. She's white.
I think
and
she's
she's got red hair, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a line in Aliens where Hudson says someone says aliens, and she thought they said illegal aliens and signed up, and then Vasquez goes, "Fuck you." Wow, that line is a callback to the fact that I forget her name, the woman that played Vasquez. She only got the title for the film Aliens, and she thought it was about illegal aliens, and turned up dressed as a Mexican, and then subsequently got the part, and that's a callback to that.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
she went there.
Well, that's a good joke.
She went there and thought she was going to be in a film about.
She went
a
auditioning
Mexican
as an illegal alien.
Yeah.
And they said, actually, it's a movie about aliens in outer space. But as
she was so convincing. They cast her, but they didn't realize she wasn't Mexican.
I'm telling you that. That's true. Like she's in the interview. Like I'll post it up for you.
And was she also kind of like semi blackface? Because they say she was darkened for the film.
Blackface. I just think she turned up with like a shirt round her waist.
So they were like, "Oh, this idiotic mistake that you've made is brilliant, but can you just black up a bit as well?"
Different time, man. Different time.
They don't call it blackface, do they? For Mexicans, it's just adding spice.
It's okay. It's okay, everybody. He's half Mexican. He can say it.
He can say it.
I can say half of it.
Yeah.
adding ice.
Is that why you talk so little? Because you can only say half of it.
I think we've worn out our welcome on this show.
Permanently
on YouTube.
No, I mean just for this evening.
Oh, okay.
I'm implying that the show is almost over.
Alrighty. I will add Jamie Lee Curtis.
To what?
Older Jamie. No, not the erection thing. Although True Lies was good. True Lies was good. No, older Jamie Lee Curtis. She's kind of like thinner. She got that like sinewy bit. Yeah, like.
Are you saying she should play Aeon Flux?
Yeah, I could see that.
If you watch True Lies, when she does that dance, she does get into a few Aeon Flux positions, doesn't she?
Oh, yeah, God, she does.
She's
a bit too old by now.
Yeah, but then Arnie's behind her and he's going. Bye.
As we've just seen, drugs make your problems go away. So make it the best day possible. Remember, it's drugs that counts. Take one and take a chance.
Saturday morning cartoons, mostly conjecture based on little knowledge.
We remembered the credits.